When I deem every circumstance to be a gift, and in turn give thanks, holding in mind the desires of my heart, I enter a cycle of giving and receiving. And in so doing, I draw my desires to me in divine timing, each packaged uniquely. Every package is a gift is the title of my message today. And I want you to just think with me about how gifts come. It may be a gift in a tiny, elegant box, or in a gift bag with lots of tissue around it that you have to unwrap, or, and I like this one, boxes within boxes. You open the box and then there's another box, and you open that one and another until you finally get to the gift. Or it could be just a huge box covered with rolls of paper, fancy and colorful, or maybe just a bow. Or the gift might be wrapped in newspaper, perhaps the Sunday comics. I don't know. Doesn't seem like I remember the Sunday comics hardly anymore, but from another time, I remember wrapping a few packages in the Sunday comics. Or perhaps that gift is behind a curtain, as we envisioned in the meditation. Or perhaps no wrapping at all. You're just instructed to hold your hands over your eyes and at the signal to lower them and receive the gift. Well, that's many of the gifts that we receive, and what I often think of mostly as gifts. But then there are the gifts that don't look like gifts at all. Perhaps those gifts are something like the downturn of your business or the loss of your job. Perhaps a relationship that turns sour. Perhaps a divorce, a friendship that comes to an end, or a death. Maybe an accident, or a health challenge, or a mishap. Maybe just persistent frustration, worry, suffering. These too are gifts, but we'll get back to them when we give a little background for the whole of this. I'd like to share with you truths that are true for me. And I'd like from that platform to come back and look at gifts again. And as I consider this, there are three things relating to everything being a gift, every package being a gift, that I found to be true, that I just believe they're part of me. First one is that nothing happens by chance. So easy to think, oh, it was just good luck or it was bad luck, but nothing does happen by chance. We remember the law of cause and effect. There's a cause and their effect, and they're interacting, they're tied together, and it is the cause that predicts and affects the effect. Every action that we make triggers a cause and then the effect. So I like to think of it, I hope I can draw a picture verbally here that you can see. I like to see this cause and effect and action as a triangle. I don't know if you can see that, but think of cause as one point in the triangle, effect as another, and action as another. So there is a cause. You pick the cause that is for you, that's part of your life. And there is an effect in your life. And then you take some sort of action. Well, that's simple on the level of one triangle. But if you can look with me, think that there are other causes connecting with the triangle that we started with. There are other actions, there are other effects. And so we see this idea of a triangle expanding to a series of triangles, but not necessarily in a linear way. It goes all directions. In fact, it goes three-dimensionally. And bit by bit, we see this wondrous ball, this globe, if you will, of cause and effect. Now, where we started at that, the original triangle, is maybe far from something and even seems to be unrelated from something that is inextricably networked with that initial cause, that effect, and the action that we take. So as we see this ball grow and grow into this magnificent, huge ball of millions and billions of interactions, we realize that there is a design in that. There is an order in that, a plan in that, sometimes a sequence in that. It is, in fact, a divine order. This is my belief that all that happens, sometimes close to me and within my immediate awareness, sometimes very far from that, they all are intricately connected, and that connection causes whatever happens, whatever appears before me in my life. Everything happens for a purpose. Nothing happens by chance, but it's part of this web, this immense web of cause, effect, and action. It's one of the beliefs that came to me. Then another belief that came to me was the belief I have that you are always doing the best you can, whoever you are, with the tools that you have. So this ties in with my belief that you and I are created in perfection. And as we're created in perfection, we work out as best we can, having free will, how that perfection plays out in our world. And sometimes we do it pretty poorly. However, it is my belief that we do each one of us, every one of us, no matter who you may talk about, no matter the person that you may have the least respect for, you were created in divine perfection. And with the tools that you have, perhaps inherited, perhaps there's something that you've built and developed as a tool. Perhaps there's something you've been gifted with. Some of them maybe not so pleasant initially looking as a gift. But for these tools, giving these tools, we all do the very best we can. Now, it's going to take us a while to get back to that perfection that we're recreated in. But it is my belief that we are intended and that we are headed to that state again. We are bit by bit remembering and moving back toward that perfection. And a third belief that I have is a simple one that you have certainly heard about from the Christian scriptures. All things work together for good. I love that term, omnibeneficence, all goodness. The divine is good. You, as extensions and expressions of the divine, are good. All that happens in our lives and in our world and in our universe is good, because that is the very nature of the fabric of the universe. Everything falls under this rule, and you may not find that goodness if you're not looking for it. However, if you are, it's there and it's apparent. With a long view and patience with regard to time, you will see that good. So those are the three truths. Do you have them? One, everything happens for a purpose. Nothing is by chance. Two, you're always doing the best you can with the tools that you have. And three, all things work together for good. So what about then situations that don't look like a gift to start with? And we're going to get back to there. There's a story of a Chinese farmer that lived perhaps 1,000 years ago. He had one old horse that he used to plow his fields with. It was absolutely the sub and substance of his livelihood. But one day, the horse ran away into the hills and was gone. Everyone was saying to the farmer, well, we're so sorry for you. What bad luck? And the farmer said, bad luck, good luck, who knows? A week later, the horse returned and brought with him a herd of wild horses who now belonged to the farmer. And everyone said to the farmer, oh, we're so happy for you. And the old man replied, good luck, bad luck, who knows? A bit later, one of his sons was riding one of the wild horses and fell off and broke his leg. Oh, and his neighbors came and commiserated with him and said, oh, what bad luck. And he said, good luck, bad luck, who knows? And then the emperor sent his army to this village and conscripted all of the young men to serve in his army and to go to war. And so all of them went except for the son who had a broken leg and was not fit for service. Everyone said, oh, how lucky you are. The old man's reply, of course, you know it. Good luck, bad luck, who knows? In this story, very simply, there are some things that happen to appear to be very good, some things that happen to be not very good. In the long run, it seemed that all of these things work together for good. Let's get back to ourselves and the gifts. Of course, we have those pleasing gifts, and I don't want to overlook the fact that when we have those pleasing gifts, our appreciation for them, our gratefulness for them, and our affirmation of them coming into our lives and more of that coming into our lives is important, because it's an affirmation, that attention that we give to the good that brings more of it to us. However, let's go to those gifts that aren't so pleasing. Like the downturn of a business, or the loss of a job, relationship that just didn't work out. In fact, it's pretty miserable. A divorce, or a friendship that comes to an end, or a death, an accident, mishap, or health challenge, or just simply frustration, worry, and persistent pain. I picked a couple of quick examples that that came to my mind about these things, to realize that the truths that came to me can be seen in a story that we can all recognize, and hopefully we can begin to recognize them more and more within ourselves. There's a young boy that grew up on a farm in a very, very poor family, whose father became ill. And when he became ill, the mother had to go to work in a cannery, and the children were left at home. And this young boy, only 7 years old, then took a lot of responsibility, and his father died as well. What an awful set of circumstances. This young boy began to care for his siblings at the age of 7, and began to learn how to cook. So he cooked the scraps of food that were available, and uniquely put together meals to be able to nourish and help his brothers and sisters survive. Well, he did, in fact, go through a lot of other difficult circumstances in his life, never had a very prestigious job, but eventually started a business that harked back to that 7-year-old cook. And his name, of course, was Colonel Sanders. At 65, he began his fried chicken franchise, which we have with us still until today. Those circumstances that seemed not to be anything like a gift were, in fact, for him, the fertile ground from which sprung a great success. Another character that you probably know, I'll tell you his name right off, Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong was a cyclist, winner of 7 times of the Tour de France. But pretty early in his career, he developed cancer. It was so very serious that most of his physicians gave him little chance of surviving. Some gave him no chance at all of surviving. Excuse me. But he did participate fully and believe in his healing and his cure, and was actively involved in his treatment. And in fact, he did survive and began to train again to do the cycling that he loved. Doing that, he worked in a unique kind of way with his suppliers and the organizations that he worked with, and eventually was able to come from that next to death place back to triumph as a writer. Now, he may have even taken that a step further, the story goes, and that he infringed on some of the rules. But the point of this story is that, for me, that from a place of almost no hope, from a situation that seemed impossible to overcome, there was a way forward, and that could be viewed as a gift because it gave to Lance Armstrong a desire that was so intense that it allowed him to achieve his goals in the long run. So that's Lance doing the best with the tools that he had, and he did that masterfully. We're saying for Colonel Sanders, it was knowing that all things, even a very poor and desperate start, work together for good. The other story is a personal one for me. And that's kind of the idea that nothing happens by chance. Some of you know that I spent some time in India. Well, that time came to an end after a year and a half, and I had to come home to someplace. Didn't have a residence that I had maintained, but came back to be in Georgia, which was near where my mother was living. And I came back to live in a small town called Madison, Georgia, an hour from Atlanta. Was in that small town in the situation where I had virtually no one that thought and talked and interacted like I love to do as I was developing my own spiritual path, that I went to Atlanta to visit a Science of Mind church, my very first one. I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of spirituality was my passion. But in this church, I found something new, but it was pretty distant. And someone pointed me to another church, a Unity church in Conyers, Georgia. And I was there and wanted to become involved and thought this was great, but it didn't seem like there was opportunity. So somebody pointed me to another place in Athens, Georgia, a Unity church. And it was there that I found a place for myself. And it was there also that I met a young woman who was very attractive to me, was involved in spiritual pursuits, and we began to date. In that context, we actually did some seminars together, and attended my very first C class, SEE class, a unity class that eventually led to my becoming a licensed teacher and now to a minister. All of these series of things could have gone different ways. And what also happened is that relationship turned very dysfunctional, became very dysfunctional. And in the process of going through that relationship, I had a lot of heartache. There were a lot of things to be learned, very difficult things. But I did learn that, and eventually learned to work with the issue that had been mine forever and still is to a degree, that of codependence. Got some help with that. Ran into somebody who said, hey, there's a group here. And I went to that group. All of these things, different events that didn't seem to go together, came together, and even the dysfunctional nature of that relationship came together to spur me on to study and spiritual pursuit that was much more heightened than ever before. It was a very, very difficult situation for me, but it was, in fact, a gift for me. And with some perspective, I can see that as a gift. So I would go back after giving these examples to that phrase, and I would turn it to you. The sentence that I spoke as I started this message. So listen with me carefully, if you will. When you deem every circumstance of your life to be a gift, and in turn give thanks, holding in mind the desires of your heart, you enter a cycle of giving and receiving, and in so doing, you draw your desires to you in divine timing, each packaged uniquely. And so it is. Amen.
Start screen sharing again.
Thank you, Neal,
Sorry.
for your message. And now is the time for our gifts and our offerings. And Neal, did you want me to take this section?
Betty, I'm just going to come back in here. I kind of lost myself there for a minute.
Well, you had a good message.
This is the time for our gifts and our offerings, our tithes and our offerings. And we do that because we're meeting virtually, but we continue the life of this church, the life of this spiritual community. And of course, we want to be able to give and receive. We want to receive from that community. We don't want to be able to give. So this is your opportunity to give. And we appreciate the gifts that you give. You can do that, of course, in a couple of ways. And if Terry, you'll put up the slide, you can send a gift to our post office box. And Terry will have that up in a second. And you also may go to unityofpayson.org, where you can donate online. It's becoming an easier process. We're working to do that. So we want to give you opportunity to consider your intention with regard to giving. And so we will move on to an offertory song, one of the beautiful ones that I love, that I requested, by Cinnamon Twist.
'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we want to be. When we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. One true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn, turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be fair, 'tis a gift to wake and breathe the morning air. And each day we walk on the path that we choose is a gift we pray we shall never lose. One true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn, turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we want to be. When we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn, turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning we come round right.
That's such a beautiful song. You know, and as we think about our gifts and hold our intention in our heart, this really is the affirmation that you lead an abundant life, that you have so much overflowing in your heart that you can give. And so, if you can say our blessing together, divine love through us blesses and multiplies all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. We are abundantly prosperous, and we give thanks. You know, when Leslie and I were sitting by the lake the other day, we looked out. We're grateful that we live in paradise. So grateful. And so, moving on, we continue next week. Our theme of acceptance: I release resistance and experience acceptance. And next week, we will get to have Betty Bennett as our speaker again. And her talk title is Everything Happens for You, Not to You. And our events that we have coming up, again, we have a really full week. So every morning at 9:30 on weekdays, you should tune in. This is a good time. We read the daily word and discuss. Sometimes we laugh and sometimes we go deep. Next, we have our play date again on Thursday, August 20th. Oh, okay, we'll go here first. To the Intender Circle at noon on August 20th. And that's online or by phone. And that is also a love offering. And the play date for Green Valley is over at Green Valley Park, also on Thursday. Yes, we have. Oh, I see why it was in different order, because of the time change. We are trying this one at 6 o'clock in the evening instead of 8 o'clock in the morning, in case some people can't get there. The grass is also drier at that time of the day. So it says near the bandstand. That is true, but we will be on the west side so that the trees will shade us at that point. So be sure to bring water and a mask. We usually have quite a few games and things, but if you have something you like to play, bring that one. And next we have the Azure delivery. Boy, a lot going on Thursday on the 20th. And this will be at the new location. So be sure to go to 200 West Frontier, Suite S, the yellow door, you know where we are. And if you have any questions about the specific time, Jennifer usually texts or email people, but do contact Jennifer if you have any questions about that. And next, some exciting stuff coming up. We are having the Unity of Payson preview. Even though we can't have full service there yet, we did want everyone to have the opportunity to walk through and see our beautiful new space. And they are also preparing a virtual tour, and the link for that will be on our website here in a few days or so. So that will be Saturday, August 22nd from 1 to 2:30. This is not an open house, so this is not a refreshments where you're going to be sitting down with a bunch of people. This is a let's charge up our new space and walk through and see how beautiful it is. So that's from 1 to 2:30 in the afternoon, 200 West Frontier, Suite S, and look for the door, and please wear your masks and honor distancing. Okay, and now we have our next book circle. And this one is a little different because it's also going to be a poetry workshop. And that starts on Thursday, August 27th, and that'll be from 1:30 to 4. And the book is Weaving Myself Awake by Gail Warner, facilitated by both Teresa and by Kaya. And there is a limit of 15 participants. So, and that will be online, on Zoom or on the phone. And a love offering is appreciated, as we're continuing to do the upgrades to our space. And so let's see. And Neil, do you have a PS for us today? You're still muted, Neil.
I'm not remembering to open my mouth today, I guess. So we just to mention again that Rick has worked with getting together this virtual tour, and Betty has prepared our new facility so that it really is looking pretty good. And I would encourage you to enjoy the video tour. That's a place that you can be extremely cautious in visiting our place, but yet when you do that, send the energy out, charge it up anyway, and which will work for us. We're not limited to geography. And then one other thing, and I want Jennifer to come on and talk about this. Jennifer and Ann have been working hard on a little project that will enhance our service. And Jennifer, are you here? Can you go ahead and tell us about virtual choir?
Yeah, hi. So what we're going to do is we're starting with the peace song, and the idea is to have everybody sing along on it, and you can actually hear everybody in real or in the same timing. Because what happens, the reason why we can't do live music with Annie in one room and me in another place is that, or even to have it on where you can hear everybody singing, is that there's a delay. And so it would sound even worse than what we had this time. It would sound pretty bad if you had it where everybody's delayed, and it would sound kind of weird. So what we're going to do is we created a bass track for the peace song. And then what we'd like to do is invite anybody who wants to sing on it to come in and actually record your voice on it. And we'll layer them all together, and then we'll play that. And it'll be like, it'll sound like we're all singing together, and then we can sing with it from home, and there won't be that delay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, it does. And I understand you have in the works some additional songs. Peace song is the starter, but some other things in the future.
We'll and then see what we come up with and go from there. But we're working out the best way to do the recording. And we actually, Annie and I were in the space yesterday, and Mary Ann came and recorded her track. So what we're going to do is probably do it one at a time and be really careful with social distancing and disinfecting and all that, because we want to make sure that people stay safe as they're doing the recording. So if you're interested, let me know. What's the best way for them to get in touch?
Well, they could call the church phone and I'll get them to you. Or if they have the buddy book.
Actually, my number in the buddy book is wrong. So
okay, tell you what, When I send out the next little email recording for today, I'll put your phone number in there so they can get a hold of you.
Cell phone in, yeah, and then from there. So yeah.
Great. I think that's it. All I got.
Hey, thanks, Jennifer, for you and Annie doing all that work.
You're welcome.
And so let's mentally circle up here for the peace song.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, a peace that is meant to be with God as creator, family all now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me, and this is the moment now. With every step I take, this is my joyous vow. Take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
So now let's join together in the prayer for protection. Terry, if you put that up. Here we go, all together. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. And the presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.